Welcome to this month's 5G business training. I'm super excited to talk about this topic because it's so central to our work here in this time of the world where social media is such a huge part of our everyday, not just in our businesses, but as in our personal lives. And it's just becoming more and more part of our experience. So it's really important for us to develop conscious awareness and intentions around how we will be managing and interacting with these tools, because they will be developing more and becoming more and more part of our lives. And there's so much potential inside of them to, genuinely connect, to grow our businesses, and also to change the world. So welcome, Luna. So happy that you're here. And, as we go along, I really hope that you'll be able to fill in the workbook. I made it fillable this time so that you can actually type in your responses as we go if you don't want to print them. But just let me know if that's working for you. And as we go, I'd love to hear your thoughts and if you have any questions or ideas that you want to share as well. As always, this is going to be available as a replay to the other members who aren't here. If you're catching the replay, definitely, let me know and share your thoughts as you go through it as well. So let's dive right in. Social media butterfly, how to create a fun social media strategy, quote unquote, because really it's not like about creating a hardcore strategy or plan in the spirit of Gemini. It's more about approaching social media for your business and your life in a way that is conscious. So that's the strategy part of it. But really it's about letting go and finding ways that are really fun for you, because that is the key to integrating social media as a powerful tool for your business and your life. So we'll go into that, of course. And this is specifically designed for empaths, for people who are highly sensitive and maybe struggle with being grounded and kind of staying true to yourself and making sure that you don't get energetically drained while being in the online space, which is a very, very highly charged space. And we'll talk about that and just kind of how we can navigate that in ways that are nourishing to us and aren't draining us. Hey, Victoria. So happy that you're here. So this, of course, is inspired by Gemini. That's why it's called social media butterfly, because the butterfly is one of the animal totems of Gemini. And just by tuning into the essence and the energy and teachings of a butterfly, we can learn so much about what Gemini really is here to teach us, what that energy is. So if you have any planets in Gemini, or if you have always been connected to people who have a strong Gemini energy, we're going to go into that and really play with Gemini today. So I'm going to be kind of multitasking, which is very, very Gemini too. And my sun sign is Gemini, as is my Mars. And so I'm going to be kind of managing comments, managing the slides, and also working through the workbook with you guys. So I really want to walk you through it. So we're going to start with setting some intentions. The first page of the workbook is write down 3 to 5 goals for your social media presence over the next month. And for this, I really want you guys to tune into your own goals. And that could be anything. It could be, I want to connect with X number of new people this month, or I want to make this number of sales using social media. Or it could be something like, I want to really enjoy my social media interactions and learn new things or meet new people. Whatever those goals are for yourself, please take a moment to fill that in and really tune into, what do you want to see happening, or to make happen in your social media presence over the next month. And again, you can always come back to this later if you want to fill in the workbook later on. So while you guys are doing that, I'll also just share a little bit about what we're going to be covering today. We're going to talk about setting intentions and the importance and the value of doing that when putting ourselves out there in the social media world, because we are required to have really strong boundaries and to just be very conscious whenever we go online. And for many of us, that's like a lot of the time in our day, right? We spend a lot of time sometimes not even aware of it. Like we just like open our phones. I know for me, like I just automatically turn my phone on and click Facebook app, right? So we want to just bring consciousness to that. And I'm going to share with you some ideas for how to do that. We're going to do a little self-assessment as to how we're currently navigating and wielding social media for our businesses and for ourselves, our personal lives, looking at what is working, what's not really working, and how we can adjust that. And of course, we're going to explore some of the gifts of Gemini and how that can inform and help us approach social media in a way that feels really fun, in a way that feels light and kind of not stressful or draining on us, because ultimately social media should be fun. It should be social and interactive experience and exchange. So if you're feeling like it's draining you, if you're feeling like it's kind of this like stressful thing that you have to like figure out, I've been there. It was really stressful for me for a long time, especially Instagram. And I'll share with you a little bit about how I overcame that and now really like Instagram, and it's become a great tool for me. But I will share with you a little bit about how I shifted that. And also we're going to talk about your communication style, your natural style of communicating, and how to use that and how to work with your natural Gemini energy to find your true kin, to find the spaces and the places and the ideas and people who you're just going to naturally vibe with, so that it does feel flowing, it feels easy and light, and not like something you need to decode and like figure out and like overcome and things like that. So does that sound good for you guys? Let me know if you are excited about this and if this is, you know, something that you want to really, you know, figure out for yourself and just, you know, change. And I'd love to hear, for those of you who are present, you know, if you'd like to share what those goals are, or if you would like to share where you're at right now, just with your relationship to social media. So that could be Facebook, it could be Instagram, it could be another social media platform. How are you feeling about it? Like, does it feel like it's something you're struggling with to manage and to kind of balance, or are you feeling great about it? You know, just let me know in a comment so that I know kind of where you guys are at. And Victoria shared that Victoria says that she has a strong Gemini influence. Awesome. So I know that, and that's really cool, because I think you're really going to like this and enjoy it, especially if you've kind of been having a little bit of difficulty finding your way and maybe connecting with people online, which I think we all go through. So awesome. I'm assuming you mean Black Moon Lilith by BML and Moon. Very cool. So Luna shared, right now I'm loving my Instagram, but not liking Facebook too much. Cool. And I'd love to hear why, you know, and I think that there's different times for me where I sometimes really enjoy a certain platform, and sometimes I'm just like, oh my God, like, get me out of here. And it's just really interesting to kind of think about these platforms as they're like energetic vortexes almost, where like it's just made up of people, right? And, you know, the energy of the people that you're interacting with. So sometimes we have to tweak and adjust how we are working these platforms. So I just recently went through a tremendous cleanse on Facebook and Instagram, and I just really like consciously decided what I was going to be following. And it's really important to remember that we do have control over our experience, right? So we'll talk about that a little more too. So now that's what we'll be covering. Let's talk a little bit about the energy of Gemini, just to kind of get into it. We've been, it's Gemini season, the sun's in Gemini. We're really now in the thick of it. My best friend, who's a fellow Gemini sun native, just had her birthday yesterday. So it's like my grandma had her birthday too. She's a Gemini. It's like all the Geminis, and this is it. We're here now in this really high Gemini time. So you should have a good sense of what the energy of Gemini is like. And I don't know if you remember this song, but many years ago, when this song was like really popular, I'm a bitch, I'm a lover, I'm a child, I'm a mother, I'm a sinner, I'm a saint, I do not feel ashamed, I'm your hell, I'm your dream, nothing in between, you wouldn't want it any other way. So if you remember that song, I remember when I would hear it on the radio, I was like, this woman has to be a Gemini, because just the lyrics of it, I was like, that's so Gemini. So I Googled it, and lo and behold, she is a Gemini. And ever since, I was like, that this song kind of became like the Gemini anthem, where it really captures the essence of Gemini being kind of hard to put into a box, hard to label, because it transcends any form, right? Gemini is the mutable air. So that is like the most undefinable of the signs, right? Mutable means it's always changing, always adapting, always shifting. And the air element is, think about air. It's invisible. It's all everywhere. It's always in movement and motion, and it's just completely free. So put those two together, you get Gemini, the ultimate free spirit, right? The ultimate undefined energy, where you can be a bitch, you could be a lover, you could be a child, you could be a mother, a sinner, and a saint. You could be everything at once, and contradiction is not in the vocabulary of Gemini, because Gemini wants to express all and experience all sides and angles and ways of seeing things. So I always think of fairies or the fae, similar to butterflies. When I think of Gemini energy, just kind of these free, winged, flying beings who are just fluttering around, kind of dancing around everything and just looking at things with pure curiosity. So some of the keywords associated with the Gemini archetype, and when I say the Gemini archetype, I'm talking about all the parts of Gemini on the sacred circle, which includes Gemini, its ruling planet Mercury, which also rules Virgo. The third house is naturally ruled by Gemini. So we're looking at all of that here. So social skills, social interaction, sharing information, just socializing, when you just go and socialize, which has become, in a certain way, really, it's changing with social media becoming more and more and more our tool and just our way of interacting. It's really changing the whole way that people share and socialize with each other. So in my opinion, social media is ruled by both Gemini and Aquarius, because Aquarius is more of the media part, the tech part, but still the act of socializing. And how do we do that in a way that's genuine, even though we are each in our own homes, separated by thousands of miles sometimes, in Luna's case. But how do we socialize online? How do we really be ourselves and show ourselves and get that social interaction? I always find it so interesting when I meet someone who I've known online for a really long time, meet them in person. How weird is that? And how different is it to interact with somebody in flesh and blood versus online, right? But Gemini is always there when we have any sort of social interaction. And that's what we want to bring into our social media experience every day. So Gemini also rules wit and, you know, clever sorts of like riddles and you know, interesting mind games and things like that. Also curiosity, lighthearted. Gemini is a very lighthearted sign. They don't like to get too serious about things because, again, mutable air, they like to just stay nicely detached or kind of like hovering above something versus getting really, really into the form of it. Diversification, ambiguity. Mercury is ambiguous. And just kind of staying out of any final or finality or, you know, defining of anything, of themselves, of others, of their experiences. Gemini is freedom and also storytelling, how we tell our stories, how we share. Hey, everybody, welcome. So excited that you guys are here. Hey, Jerry Lynn, you came on right when I started talking about storytelling, which is awesome because you are an author. And that's very Gemini. That's a total Gemini career path. So that was kind of a cool synchronicity. I'm just going to catch up on the comments. Luna said, I think on Instagram, I really follow people that resonate with me. But on Facebook, I have a whole timeline of family, high school people, ads. So as soon as I log in, before I even get to my page, I'm already exhausted. Yeah, I completely get that. And it's so interesting that you brought that up because, you know, I think so many of us struggle with that. And it's kind of this strange thing that, like, you know, we have our Facebook connections to our past, you know, we have our family on there. We have people who we've just kind of randomly met. And then we have like business contacts or people we've met, you know, through the online sphere. And it's kind of weird because, like, how do we make sense of it all? And how do we make sure that we don't get overwhelmed by all of the information people are sharing and, you know, what do we use it for? So I do totally get that. And hopefully, you know, through this training today, you're going to approach Facebook in a way that is more conscious and intentional, and just finding those spaces, I think, on Facebook, where you are able to connect and, you know, and then very carefully avoiding those pit holes, those kind of energetic draining pitfalls where you might have not really found your place, if you know what I mean. So we're going to get into that, but thank you so much for sharing that. Hey, Elizabeth, welcome. So we just talked a little bit about Gemini and the teachings. So in a nutshell, I would say that the teachings of Gemini for us business owners of the new age, in a nutshell, is to play with the potential in all we interact with. So if you really want to nurture Gemini, you want to be more Gemini in your online interactions and in your life and kind of embody the things that I just spoke about here, you know, having a little bit more fun, having a more lighthearted approach, being more free, being more open to explore, more curious, things like that, as opposed to having a heaviness or a sense of duty or obligation or a sense of I have to do it this way. Then I would definitely meditate on this sentence here. Ask yourself, how can I do this more? Or how can I just allow this to happen? How can I play with the potential in this? How can I open myself up to what is in here, maybe in ways that I wouldn't expect, right? So those are the kinds of things that we want to be thinking about. So now in your workbook on page 3, you have a self-assessment tool. So just filling in on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being extremely effectively, 1 being not at all, not well at all. How much are you having fun on social media? And be really honest with yourself. You don't have to share this with anybody. Are you having fun? Are you really having fun? Like, is it something you look forward to, or is it something you're like, oh God, like I have to go on here. I'm not enjoying this. This is just hell for me. That would be a 1. What is that like for you right now on a daily basis overall? How genuinely are you expressing yourself in your interactions online? So remember, socializing. We're really trying to enjoy it, trying to show our true selves, not putting pressure, not feeling like we have to show up in a certain way. How genuinely are you expressing yourself in your interactions online? Are you trying to be perfect all the time, or are you trying to kind of present yourself in a certain way that may be blocking you from having those genuine interactions? How effectively are you currently finding people who you enjoy connecting with? Is that hard for you? I know that that's a struggle for a lot of my clients. How effectively are you currently creating opportunities for sales through your social media interactions? Are you able to actually sell and share your work through your social media interactions, or is that still difficult for you? Because this goes both ways. On the one hand, we want to really genuinely express ourselves and connect on a very deep, true self level. On the other hand, we don't want to be spending all of our time online, giving our time and energy away without building our business and making sales. So the boundaries have to be in place on both ends of that spectrum. And lastly, how effectively are you currently practicing safe barriers online with your energy and time? So that goes with what I was just talking about. Are you conscious of that? Are you sitting on Messenger all day, talking to different people, and there's a fine line I have found for myself as an empath between really genuinely chatting with people, talking with them, connecting, and then, where I lose my kind of boundary and I end up spending too much time on Messenger, or, spending too much of my energy each day on that aspect versus really, making that connection and then bringing it to the next level where it can move forward towards a sale or towards, a sales call at least. So what's, where would you place yourself in terms of that? And then maybe later on, if you're reflecting on this, if any of the above are less than a 10, which I would probably venture to say for all of us, it's going to be less than 10 because there's always room to grow. What is holding you back? Just exploring those questions and really feeling into where can I adjust this and tweak this, and what is it that is, let's say for the last one, practicing safe barriers. Why am I doing that? Like, why am I spending too much time and energy on Messenger, let's say, or just scrolling through Facebook or Instagram? Why is that happening, and what can I do to change that, which we'll talk about more now. So now we're going to get into the kind of conscious and intentional part around this, and we want to really start owning what do you want your social media experiences to be like. And this is so important because, like I said, social media has pervaded all aspects of our lives. There's ads, there's tracking, there's people from our past, there's potential clients. Everything is there, and it's kind of overwhelming. And the moment you decide, I'm going to design this, I'm going to own my experience, it changes everything. And if you do not do that, which most people, I think, most people don't, we get these technologies and we go on them, and we just, we don't have really clear intentions and boundaries around how am I going to be bringing this into my life in a way that actually feels great, is fun, and is lucrative for me, is worth my time, is valuable for me, especially as business owners. Very, very important. So Luna, like what you were saying about how when you go online, like you're hit by all this stuff, all this information, all these all this stimulation from all around, like, maybe you see your ex-boyfriend's post, or you see an ad, or, somebody who just something, that they said triggered you or whatever. So going into that can be very, very, it can just like kind of disperse your energy. It can be a huge challenge that we have to face every single day. But if we design it, if we ask ourselves, what do I want my social media experience to be like every day, which we're going to do right now, it will really eliminate a lot of that for you. Okay, so you're going to know who to unfollow. You're going to know where you're going each day when you go online. You're going to find the people in the groups that really do make your experience what you want for it to be. And all of us are going to have different answers for this, depending on what we want and what we're looking for. I'm assuming, I would, for business owners, obviously a huge part of what we want our social media experience to be is that it's going to be a valuable tool for us to make sales and to grow our businesses, right? So that's one element of it. But go beyond that, how do you want it to really feel? So I'm just going to close my window because there's that loud landscaping again. I'll be right back. Okay. So guys, go ahead and share in a comment if you'd like. What do you want? How do you want your social media experiences to feel? I know that for me, I want them to feel fun. I want them to feel nourishing, and I want them to feel light. I don't want to feel, I know maybe it's my Gemini sun speaking. I don't want to feel like, I'm obligated in any way to, do anything that doesn't feel good for me. So Jerry Lynn shared, to feel like I'm really connecting with my readers. Awesome. And go deeper with that. What does that feel like to really connect with your readers? And you might journal on that later, but what would that feel like? What would those interactions feel like? Does it mean you are laughing with them, really feeling into that? Because again, the more clear you are on what you're looking to have and what you're looking to design and create for yourself, the more you can actually go ahead and make that happen and avoid the things that you don't want happening. Who do you want to interact with daily? So Jerry Lynn, maybe it's your readers, right? So maybe that means that you're not really interested in interacting with anybody who's not your reader right now, right? You don't have all the time in the world to be sitting and reading posts from people who it's just not, what you're looking for, what you want your experience to be like, right? The unfollow button is your friend. It's really important to use that wisely and consciously. And this can change over time, of course, but just right now, choosing for yourself how you want to design your social media experience is really, really a powerful action to take. And this is the golden question. What do you not want to experience through social media? Okay, this is a huge one. So maybe later on today, do your regular social media thing, right? Go, just allow yourself to open your phone or whatever, however you normally do it. I know for me, I just click Instagram, right? And then I just start scrolling. So start noticing, is there anything that just feels not good, that you're like, and maybe you've gotten so used to it, and you just think it's it just has to be part of your social media experience. Just start noticing those things. Are there people or content or certain pieces of information that just turn you off and kind of shut you down? Is there anything that you're coming across with that, just doesn't meet you right, that just doesn't have a good effect on you? So start noticing those things and just write them there. I don't want to experience people who are sharing information that is, just stupid and a waste of time and just extra noise in my life, right? So, there's people on your feed probably who they're just sharing things that just are not of value. They're not true, maybe. They're not kind, they're not necessary, things like that. Or maybe it's a certain business coach or something who's sharing things that are just really not making you feel great, not inspiring you, not motivating you, but actually having the opposite effect. So get really conscious about it, get really intentional about it. What do you not want to experience, right? And this is a process of creating boundaries for yourself for your social media experience, where you're saying to yourself and to the universe, this is what I'm prepared for, this is what I'm energetically available for, and this is what I'm not. And I'm going to do, I'm going to take the steps to not engage with and not make space for the things that I don't want in my experience, right? And we'll go through that a little bit more as we work through this. So let me catch up on some of the comments. Elizabeth shared, she's also Gemini ascendant. Oh, just like, who else? Jerry Lynn. So lots of Gemini energy happening here. Virgo sun, so similar, also ruled by Mercury. Capricorn moon, always reminded to lighten up. Yeah. So there's the upgrade opportunity, right? Monetizing your sharing, exactly. So a lot of times, especially as empaths, we go on the online space where it's really, it kind of feels like this big free for all, and we feel like we just have to give everything away. But that's not the case, right? So building these meaningful boundaries is so important. And boundaries is really important for a Gemini, right? So in order for things to be fun and to be, light, we have to have those boundaries in place. Otherwise, it can get really tricky and sticky and messy. So hey, Kristen, so happy that you're here. Kristen shared, I want it to feel simple and direct. There's such an overwhelm of content, so I want it to be very clear. And that's a really beautiful intention, Kristen, because if that is beautiful, because you holding that and you valuing that and choosing to share things that are clear is wonderful. We need that. We really all need that. We need people to be more just clear, direct. We don't need more noise, right? So I really have started recently to be very conscious about what I'm sharing. It's really good to sometimes just share a download that comes in right away, but our words are so powerful, right? And one of the lessons I've learned as a Gemini, and this is kind of like, one of the harder parts of being a Gemini, is to be really careful with my words. Our words create our realities, right? Our words are magic. Like abracadabra means I create as I speak. And I've learned, especially with my Mars and Gemini too, where I used to just literally just say whatever, and it could hurt people. It could create a lot of damage. It could have unintended effects. So I've been more careful about what I'm sharing. You don't have to share all the time, but for me, it's more about the quality and the truth behind what I'm sharing. So that's a beautiful intention, Kristen. And it doesn't have to be everybody's, but it's just about you really just literally just setting an intention and just coming into the space consciously is a huge thing. So Kristen asked, how do you make the distinction between being personal so that people relate to, but not sharing too much that it isn't relevant? And that is a great question, because we're going to get into that towards the end of the training, where I share with you how to create a content plan. So you want to be sharing things just as intentionally, right? And when you are very clear on what you're here to be doing in your social media experience and interactions, then you'll know exactly what you're sharing. You'll know why you're going on to the space. And you won't just be doing it in kind of a random haphazard way. You're going to know exactly why you're using social media to begin with. And I have been finding, when I closed my big group, which had 750 people, and now I opened my new group, it's so different now. And I've kind of shifted my whole approach to Facebook and social media, where it used to be all about the numbers and the just how many people, the mass audience. And now I'm just kind of I feel just being much more specific and much more, just like tightening my whole auric field on social media. It feels so much better for me because I know that I can have those genuine, there's like, my little circle of people who I really feel connected with, and I focus on them, and I don't have to share myself with like so many people that it's just like literally just when you think about it energetically, it's very overwhelming and draining. And so now I just focus on like a couple, however many people are in my circle. And that just happens kind of naturally. We just like are drawn to each other because I am sharing things straight from my heart. I'm not trying to appeal to like this mass audience anymore. And so those interactions become really genuine, and it's just an energetic thing. So, like when you go live, let's say, or something, or you're using social media for your business, it's really, to me, it's more about the intention, and it's about just calling in those true soul, like kindred souls, which we'll talk about in a couple minutes. And so to me, that helps me to be really authentic and personal. I hope that answers your question, Kristen, because that's kind of been my experience. And if anybody wants to share their own, I would love that too. Elizabeth said, LOL, I understand. Mars and Mercury conjunct in Libra, 5th house. I so consciously worked at cultivating softening. Oh, so you're, softening the communication. I love that. So that's, for some of us, that's part of our learning and what we have to learn. For some of us, it's learning to be more assertive with our communication and to just put ourselves out there more. So it's really individual. But again, just having this clarity around what do I even want out of this, I think will put you 10 million steps ahead of most people. So now in the workbook, page 5, can you recall 1 or 2 examples in detail of when social media was a really effective tool for you? We're kind of looking for like a prototype or a blueprint for you to work off of, where social media, whether that was Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, even something like, what's that other one? I should. I don't even use it, but what's that one where it's kind of like, it's like just different filters? I don't know. I can't think of it right now. But just any of the apps, any of the social media things that you're using, Snapchat, that was it. So think of a time where it just really worked for you. It really worked for you. Tumblr is a great one. Thank you, Elizabeth. Yes. When was a process or an experience in which maybe you made a sale, maybe you just met someone and it opened up doorways, maybe you like had a group experience where you really got something good out of it and it was really constructive for you. So this might be something to fill in later, but just thinking about that and getting very specific about what worked about it. That's the key. Like how did you wield social media in a way that actually really worked for you? And then you want to kind of replicate that. You want to look at it and see like, what did you do there? How did you set that up so that it really worked? Page 6, write down 5 to 10 actions or patterns of social media interactions that are not serving you. So again, this is just kind of going a little bit deeper with tuning into what are those patterns you've kind of developed, maybe unconsciously, maybe just like without awareness. Is it scrolling till your phone just like dies? Like I used to do that. I would literally just scroll until either I saw something so disturbing that I was like, oh my God, I have to get off of this, or my battery would die. And I would just be like, why am I even doing that? And I had to cut that out. I had to just cut that habit out and just bring awareness to those patterns or habits and just call them out and cut them out of your life. And it may be more subtle. It may be things that you're just not even really paying attention to. Maybe you're going to a certain page or something like that isn't working for you. Maybe it's the time of day. Are you opening up social media first thing in the morning before eating or drinking or meditating or even just breathing in some fresh air? All of those things are what you need to start paying attention to and just creating the experience in a way that feels great and works for you, as opposed to like this heavy kind of thing that you're just like a slave to. So now let's go on to page 7 of the workbook. It's my communication style. So this is a little bit of the astrology. It's not obligatory, obviously, if you're not there yet, but it's kind of fun because you can look at your chart and just fill in the blanks. Where is your Mercury sign, right? So you have to look at your birth chart and see what sign is Mercury in. Mine is Taurus. So if you guys want to share, I'd love to hear it. It'd be really fun. So for me, Mercury, okay, represents how we think, essentially. It's all about how we think, how we communicate. And so the sign that your Mercury is in is going to give us some clues into what your natural style of communication is. And what we want to do with this, the reason I put this in is I want you to find your way. I want to find the way that feels best for you. So you can find those groups, you can find those spaces, even the platforms that work best with your style of communication. If you're a very visual learner and thinker, and you kind of you like to process information visually, then Instagram might be the better place. It might be your dominant or primary platform. Maybe Facebook just isn't, your top place. I know so many successful business owners who don't have a Facebook presence, who don't have an Instagram presence. It's just about finding what works for you. So Luna, if Facebook just isn't working, first try to tweak your experience, but if it's still not, then it's okay. Maybe Instagram really is your strongest suit, and it's wiser to really develop your presence there and grow your following there, because maybe that's just how your soul communicates best, right? So if, share with me, where is your Mercury? So Kristen's Mercury is in Capricorn. I love that. So we want to, fill in, and I made a box on the bottom where you can kind of journal on this and really explore using keywords of Capricorn. So Capricorn is practical, very hardworking, very, kind of focused on establishing credibility and high integrity, right? So that's how Kristen naturally thinks and likes to express herself and communicate her ideas, right? So it makes sense that she before shared that she really wants her message to be direct and simple. And, I always think Capricorn is all about less is more. That's one of the mantras, I think, of Capricorn. So that's beautiful. Okay. So maybe for Kristen, that will be her approach. That is her communication style online. And for you, it might be about finding a platform that honors that and really, allows that to flow through you. So for Kristen, let's say in the workbook it says my Mercury sign is Capricorn, which is a earth element, right? So you need to know what element your Mercury sign is. Jerry Lynn's is Libra, which is an air sign, and it's her chart ruler. Wow. So that's really a strong energy for you. It makes so much sense that you are a writer and author. So fill that in, start picking up keywords for your Mercury sign, and start just journaling on that and really exploring and using your self-knowledge. Don't just base it on the things you're finding in astrology, because again, this is kind of taking it out of the context of your full chart. So we don't want to isolate parts of ourselves. We want to also just remember it's in the context of your whole self. And, what does this mean, and how can I actually translate this into a social media strategy, or quote unquote unstrategy that actually works for me, that I can actually really just be myself. I don't have to kind of decode a whole way of doing it that is really just not natural to me. So for Mercury in Libra, it's a very partner-oriented, really about sharing with others, So I feel for you, having a lot of interaction, a lot of opportunities for just, social feedback and things like that, almost like forums or something like that might be really good for you. I know we spoke about this. So Jerry Lynn, being that it's your chart ruler, really important for you to have that outlet, right? And I always felt for you that a really great tool would be to have like an author circle or something where you and your readers can really interact and have like lots of opportunities for that. And that could be even like a paid thing, like a paid membership type of thing for you. So, or even like, because you're a mystery writer, so having like mystery parties or something like that, where it could be online or in person too. Luna said, I don't have any planets in the 3rd house or in the sign of Gemini, only the South Node. Oh, so is your South Node Gemini? So I've been wondering some tips on nurturing or conjuring. I love that, the Gemini energy in relation to self-expression. And my Mercury is in Cancer. Oh, beautiful. Okay. So, blessed Mercury return. Mercury's now in Cancer. So let me just read that again. Got to process this. Just, Luna, let me know if your South Node is Gemini, because that's a big thing. You're like, only the South Node, which is like huge. I'm just curious if I'm reading it right. So I've been wondering some tips on nurturing or conjuring Gemini energy in relation to self-expression. Yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing here. We really want to activate this. We want to play with the potential in everything. And we really want to release, and let go of how things need to be or should be, right? Gemini is all about freedom. So for me, what I would say is that, oh, it is. Okay, so you have a lot of experience with Gemini. You're a master of Gemini in that case. So it's in you. And perhaps being that, it is your South Node, you kind of feel like you need to separate yourself or something from that because you've already mastered it. You've come here to master Sagittarius, but Gemini and Sag, it's all the same axis. And what you want to do is just really have fun with this, right? So I want you, Luna, to start focusing on how can you make your communication, your interactions and exchanges the funnest that they can be. Like, do you like laughing with people? Do you like telling jokes? Do you like riddles or things like that, like elements of surprise? Gemini loves that. Maybe in your tarot post, you can do like a little bit of a game, like helping people to cultivate their intuitive gifts. Like I actually am on a mailing list that I really enjoy. It's a woman who teaches psychic development, and every now and then she'll send out a email with a picture of somebody or an object. And she'll do like a game where she asks her readers to guess, kind of not guess, but like just intuit or use their psychic intuition skills to like share what their insights are about this person. So she shared like a picture of her grandma once. She didn't tell anybody. She just sent the picture and she's like, reply to this email and tell me, who is this person? What was her life story? Anything that you get, what are those hits you're getting? So if that's fun for you, Luna, do something like that. Just bringing in surprise games, things like that, I think would be really good for you. Like, don't allow yourself to be boxed into like any one way of how you need to be showing up on your social media. So going back to the workbook, what are ways that you naturally communicate? I am, again, I shared that my Mercury is Taurus. So I naturally am, I'm very practical. I love books. Like if you look at my bookcase, it's all very practical, like very down to earth, instructional how-to books. Like I have very few novels or fiction, even though I do really enjoy that, but the majority of my books are like, how do you do this? Like, because that's very practical Taurus. Like, I just love learning and sharing very, very practical, hands-on, like just bottom line kinds of things. So, that's my communication style. Do you have other planets in the sign of Gemini? Do you have any planets in the 3rd house? This will all be part of your communication style. And I also added in the 11th house cusp because, again, Aquarius, the ruler of the 11th house, definitely ties into social media. It's the more technical, like, the technical part of it, meaning the innovation of it, the fact that this is all happening on computers and internet and that whole thing. And it's important. And also Aquarius has to do with our groups and our social circles and our friends. So I think it does definitely add another layer to how we communicate naturally, especially in the online space. So that will help you to understand what kind of groups you should be joining and what kinds of social circles really would be best for you. So as you guys work through that, come and ask questions if you need help integrating the astrology. Just, post here and I can help you out. There's, lots of tools for just finding, like, let's say, keywords for your signs and stuff like that online. And then just put it into a paragraph. What is your natural communication style? How do you most enjoy interacting? And how can you then bring that into your social media? So next we're going to talk about kindred spirit mapping, which is really getting clear on who are you wanting to find in the online space, because as we know, there's literally billions of people online, and you don't want to be getting tangled up with people who really are not your ideal client, right? It's so important to have those boundaries in place because there's literally, it's like that song, No Doubt, like spider webs. Like, we're just literally surrounded by ways that we can get caught up in things, energy drains, getting involved with like the wrong people, wasting our time, things like that. The more clear you are on who you want to call into your circle, who you want to interact with, even to the point of writing yourself a checklist around that. Like, these are the people I want to be involved, like, working with. These are the people I want to call into my circle. That will help you a lot. So if you go to page 8 of your workbook, you'll have lots of guiding questions. So what is he or she into? Meaning, what are her hobbies? Like, what does she love? What movies? What does she like to look into? What she's searching for in the search bar? Is she into like conspiracy theories? Is she into plants? Is she into business? Like, get clear on all that stuff. This is like ideal client kind of stuff, but we're really looking for kindred spirits who we just really want to connect with and want to talk to, right? Because if you're feeling drained a lot, it means that you're just not in the right place at the right time. Gemini teaches us the gift of freedom, the gift of curiosity, exploration. We don't get too, if it's the wrong thing, Gemini just moves on to the next one, right? We don't like stay in a group if we don't like it, right? We don't stay in a place or, even just interact with an energy if it's not feeling good, if it's not intriguing us, if it's not exciting us, if it's not fueling us and like giving us something. So, where would your ideal client, kindred spirit, be spending her time online? Is she on Instagram? Is she more on like, I don't know, some kind of other thing that I just don't even know about? Or if she's on Facebook, so where is she spending her time on Facebook? How much time is she even spending? What hashtags does she follow? So on Instagram, there's this newer feature that you can actually follow hashtags. So that's a great tool for us because it used to be that you could only follow people's accounts. Now you can actually follow hashtags. So get familiar with those hashtags, and that's something that's always evolving. It's alive, it's a consciousness. It's not static, so you have to stay on top of that. What are the movements? What are those hashtags represent movements and the way that we are evolving in our consciousness. So be in tune with those, what are those things, like, let's say in the tarot community, like, is there certain hashtags that like you really like and you love exploring? So that might be something to follow. What are fun ways to attract her to my work, right? So we want to make this fun. And so thinking about like games, ways to bring in the element of surprise, ways to lighten it up and just, again, make it fun for people, right? I think that's it's a tool. We forget sometimes, even if your business is about something serious or about something really deeply transformative, don't underestimate the value of fun and lightheartedness, laughter and comedy. Like that is a very, very, very powerful tool. And let's bring that in a little bit more, So what is she looking for in her online experience, right? Same how we're doing this work of reflection. Like, what do you think her higher self, like her soul, really wants? Like maybe she's not yet living it or creating it, but what does her soul really want out of the online experience? And then can you give that to her? Can you create that for her? Because you'll create a fan for life. And then what groups do I enjoy spending my time in? Look at your groups. I'm in like hundreds of groups, and most of them I don't really participate in, but I'm planning to go in and tune into the energy. Where do I like spending my time, and why? Why is the most important part? Like, what is it about the energy of that group that draws me in? What makes it fun for me? What makes me feel understood? What makes me feel like comfortable to share myself? And so find those groups that you do like. It takes experimenting. It takes some Gemini, action where you have to be able to go into a space, kind of be the butterfly, check it out, tune in, be like, is this my people? And if not, move on, right? On to the next one. Don't get all like caught in the webs of like, oh gosh, like this is, like sometimes I go into a group and it's just not for me, but I get like so boggled down in it, and it just kind of like throws me off. But I have learned to just like on to the next, Okay, so then we want to now, does anybody have questions about that, by the way? So doing that process of calling in your kindred spirit and just finding them online and, just tuning into what people are sharing, like, are they talking about things that you really genuinely like? And just connecting with those people and letting it be fun above all. And Jerry Lynn says, yes, I hate jumping in and out of things, but I've learned sometimes you have to. That's perfect. That's actually exactly what this is about. Like, sometimes we feel like, oh, I'm flaky, or, oh, it's not good to do that. And then we become imprisoned by that. But Gemini really does teach us the art of not giving a fuck, I guess, or the art of like, the art of moving and like letting go and moving on and opening up space for the new, right? And I've spent time in groups, and then after a little while I was just like, okay, I'm done here. Like this energy has expired, and it's kind of like learning to read the expiration date on things in our lives and just moving on as needed, right? Even her hashtags, like every now and then we need to update and, refresh our hashtags, the people we're following, right? Like going through the list and unfollowing as needed or whatever. Just bringing in new, fresh energy. So now the last page of the workbook, page 9, is how we can now start turning this into a content plan, right? So I find it really helpful to have at least somewhat of a content plan. I used to be crazy with like planning like my content like down to a T, and I found that it doesn't work as well. I like to have freedom and space for downloads and for just kind of spontaneity. But it is really important to know, like, well, what am I going to be sharing to attract my people and to make sales, right? Because social media definitely has immense potential, obviously, for sales and for growing your business. And if that is one of your intentions, which again, I would think it is, among other things, among genuine connection and friendships, and also, sharing your gifts with the world, making change with your message, sales is really something that we can absolutely bring into our social media experiences and interactions in ways that feel just as fun. So what we want to do is a little bit of reverse engineering here. If you downloaded my Soul Couture content planner in the past, it's based off of that, where we want to reverse engineer our post ideas and content ideas. So this could be videos, it could be live streams, trainings, it could be even like oracle readings or things like that, or weekly themes, anything that you're going to be sharing to attract those kindred spirits. You're going to reverse engineer. So starting with your offering, you have to know what it is that you're offering. You know, and I would do this for each offering separately, but let's say you have like one main offering. So just writing in there, what is the offering? What's the format? What's the price? And then what are the outcomes of that offering, right? So what are the intended outcomes? You know, what does somebody get after going through the program, or the, you know, the experience? What is it that they walk away with? What is that medicine for? Who is that medicine for? This is kind of like an upgraded version of like pain points. I don't really like, I just don't like that term, but you know, what is this medicine for? You know, why would somebody really be needing this? And what is it that you're coming to transform within them, right? And so we have to be clear on those things. And that will lead you to some posts or topic ideas that you can start sharing, right? In really fun, refreshing ways. So always going back, you know, in order to make the sale, your post should be rooted in these 3 steps. You don't have to necessarily even talk about them in the post, but just energetically you want to root them or anchor them in the intention of selling this offering. So for example, for me, you know, I have my one-on-one coaching. I also have the membership, and I have various other readings available at different times. So when I'm posting about anything, really, I have an intention at least that if somebody follows this, if it's kind of like envisioning like a silver thread, if somebody follows this and it links and it kind of speaks to them, they can follow this back to the offering, and they can make that you know, they can make that decision to purchase it. So does that make sense? It's kind of like energetically weaving it in. Sometimes I do just blatantly talk about the offering. That's important to do for me. I actually, you know, it feels good. But, you know, you can get really creative with this, and you can get creative with how you are posting on social media. I just wanted to put this in, of course, because we're business owners here. So, you know, if it is your intention, if one of your main intentions for your social media experience on a daily basis is to be making sales, then I would totally have a content plan at play. Again, that's going to help you create boundaries. It's going to help you make sure that your social media time and energy being put on there is leading to people working with you, people understanding what it is that you have to offer, who you're helping, and how. And if that's there, you know, then it creates a boundary again around your time and energy. You're not wasting your time. But also it, again, shows people that you are a business owner, that you're, you know, in this line of work, and how they can go ahead and work with you. So let me know if you guys have any questions about the social media content planning, or even the kindred spirit mapping. And again, you know, really what we're doing is approaching our social media consciously and intentionally, and making sure that we're really leaving open space to constantly kind of reassess and reconfigure how this is all working for us, and recognizing that, you know, the gifts of Gemini are freedom, right? We're not chained. We're not, you know, obligated to do anything any one way. But being that this is the domain of Gemini, right? Social media, socializing, sharing information. In terms of business astrology, it is your messaging and your networking and how you are getting your message out there. I think that it really is a wonderful way to approach social media, making it fun, making it not like a burden on us, right? We just don't want that and don't have time for that. So I really sincerely hope for you that your social media becomes a joyful experience, an experience in which you are just constantly uncovering more of your truth and more ways to find your people. Because when you do this, the beauty of this is that it does become fun. And if that sounds like impossible to you, if that sounds like, wait, like how can business be fun? Then you know that this is what to focus on, because I'm telling you that it is possible. And I really, really sincerely hope that you guys will find the right people, the right places, and all the right ways to navigate this beautiful gift that we have in the new age that really was never available to anybody in history before. But again, it's all about being conscious about it and really designing it in ways that feel great for you. So anybody have questions or anything that you want to share before we sign off on this? I definitely think that you should work through the workbook over time, maybe just reflecting back. There's a lot of stuff to explore in there. And yeah, I'm just going to stick around. If anybody has any more questions, please just post. And that could be later on as well. If you need, if you think of something later that you want to share or ask about, I will be happy to answer. I also wanted to share, so I wanted to actually tell you guys about an idea that I had for our Inner Circle membership. I've wanted to for a really long time to create kind of a directory where each of us gets like a little space to share who we are, what we're about, maybe like some parts of our astrology, birth chart, and what we offer, so that if we are looking for something, that we can always, tap into this beautiful circle here, but also like for friends or something. So if you guys like that idea, let me know, because I want to just get like kind of a bio from each of you, and that way I could put it on the portal, and we can just learn more about each other and what we're doing. And yeah, that would just be really fun for me to do. So if you guys like that idea, let me know. And I guess that is all. So it's funny, I wish that I could see you guys, meaning I wish that I could actually be on screen. But when you do go live on Facebook, you could either share your screen or you could be on video. But so just wishing you guys a really beautiful rest of your weekend. I'm going to be sending out the Cosmic CTAs tomorrow night, like I've been planning to. So you'll have those well in advance. And this was really fun for me. So I hope you guys have a really great day, and I'll catch you guys soon in the group. Take care, everybody.